is an HR consultant from YourSource. We engaged YourSource to help us review our policies and put together what you are looking at as an employee handbook. And so what Patty is going to do this afternoon is walk you through the handbook. She's going to mostly kind of use a format of following the table of contents. And then in the back, there are, in the folder, there are documents. Those are signature documents. There's also copies in the handbook. So after you turn in the signature documents, you'll have copies. Basically, she'll go through those as well at the end, but it's signature that you received the employee handbook. I think there's one on sexual harassment that you're aware of, and a few others that we want you to sign off on. Those will all go into your personal files. It will be the same for every employee here at the agency for both divisions, okay? And so Patty sat through every session with us, so she is very, very much, she put in a lot of great input for us for areas that we didn't know. She's very up to date on all the HR laws, the changes in the pipeline, so please feel free to ask her all the questions. I will preface this by saying I have to be back in the hospital for a 3 o'clock meeting, so if I duck out, Patty can answer your questions. Pam was here and sat through with me and Cheryl all of the sessions in creating this handbook, so she is very well educated on what's in here as well. So feel free to ask any of us, but certainly Patty while she's here. So I'm going to turn it over to Patty.
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
Like Michelle said, my name is Patty McClendon, and I work for YourSource Management Group, and we are engaged to help home health care put together your employee handbook. I do want to let you know that although we did go through your policies and dust them off and bring them up to date as far as labor laws and things that might have been missing or needed the gaps filled in, your policies themselves have not changed. All of the original policies are still intact in a place where they're designated to be. So if anything in the handbook is conflicting with the original policy, we want you to go back to the original policy for clarifications. These are just summaries of the policies that you have already.
Yeah, and I would add to that is we went through the handbook. We are making updates to some of the policies because we realized that our policies might have been out of date. So we are in the process of updating those policies. As Patty said, this is a reference. Policies are king. And then also, these do not apply to any of the clinical policies. So anything that has to do with clinical care is not, this is all administrative policies that relate to employees in the workplace, not the clinical provision of care.
I'm not going to go through each policy line by line. Each of you has your own copy in front of you, and we do expect that you will read your handbook and put it to memory. But it's used as a reference and a guide to you. So what I'm going to do is a high-level overview of what you're looking at, and then if you have any questions or concerns throughout your employment with Crittenton, then you go back to your handbook and you should see the information there. Okay, so the first section that we're looking at is Section A, and it's called the Welcome section. And basically what you're going to find here is a message from Michelle, our welcome message. And then you're also going to find your home care mission, your values, and your history. So in case you didn't know what those were, we have them all outlined there for you. There's a notice to employees, and again, it's just a summary, or it's talking about the fact that this is a summary of the policies that your main policy will govern. These are guidelines only. Talks about the at-will status of employees and what that is. And then it also speaks to the fact that you're going to be signing off on some signature documents, which we'll get to a little bit later. There's also some information on the code of conduct. If it's probably been a while since you've looked at the Crittenton Home Care Code of Conduct, this is an area where we probably want to spend some time. So if you haven't read that in a while, your code of conduct is something that the company wants each of you, or the agency wants each of you, to make sure that you understand and at least take the time to read that. The next section, Section B, is our introduction section. And here you're going to find all of the laws that pertain to both employers and employees. Well, some of them are laws, like for example, the first one, employee relations. What is employee relations? What does that mean to me? Basically, if you have an issue, where do you go to resolve that issue? We want you to go to your supervisor. No, you can go to your supervisor to have that issue taken care of. Crittenton takes those seriously, and they want to respond to anyone's concerns if they have them. Policy number 201, equal employment opportunity. It's a statement saying that Crittenton is an equal opportunity employer and they don't discriminate against any of the protected statuses that you see here, such as race, color, religion, sex, weight, and so forth. So that's that statement on that. Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act is a relatively new act. Well, actually, I think it's in 2008, but for employment law, it's kind of relatively new. And what that means is that employers do not discriminate against employees for genetic information in the hiring process and the promotion process, for termination in granting you benefits and so forth. So if they had access to the fact that maybe you had cancer or that you had AIDS or some other type of illness, they can't by law discriminate against you. So that's kind of what that's saying. Business ethics and conduct is a reminder that the integrity of the company is utmost and that we want all of our employees to act accordingly, that their conduct should be of the highest integrity. Policy number 204 is your policy, actually I shouldn't say policy, section 204. Your policy is your policy, this is just a summary of it. It's on gifts and gratuities. It's a reminder that if you do receive a gift from or a gratuity from a patient, that you're expected to decline that. 205, immigration law and compliance. All employers in the United States are expected to abide by the immigration laws. And if you were hired recently, you might remember the I-9 that you filled out. It's just a form that proves that you're eligible to work in the United States. So all employers have to have you show documentation that you are eligible to work in the United States through the process of the I-9 so that they're in compliance with the immigration laws. Conflict of interest. What is a conflict of interest? What should I do if I have a conflict of interest or I think it might be a conflict of interest? Basically, you want to ask yourself some questions. Those are listed on page 8, basically, to determine whether or not that is a conflict of interest. If it is, then you want to bring it to the attention of your supervisor so they can address that, because we want to avoid conflict of interest at all costs. Section 207, value conflicts. For those of you that have direct patient care, there might be something in your background or your religious belief where you would have not want to carry out that treatment or care. Again, bring it to the attention of your supervisor and they'll work with you to make sure that the patient receives the proper care and that your beliefs are not infringed upon. Confidentiality, non-disclosure is our next section. All of you come in contact with records, with all sorts of things that relate to personal information for your patients or their records here. We want to make sure that we maintain that